Welcome back, Wisdom Seekers. This is the third part in a four-part video series on using the writing wisdom practice to vision into your future. Excuse me. To write into the vision of your future. If you haven't seen the first two videos, I would recommend that you go back and listen to them. In particular, video one has a good deal of instruction and things to consider as you go into using the writing wisdom practice in this way. Things that you're going to want to be aware of. So I would recommend that you go back and look at that one in particular. Hopefully, if you have written in the last 2 days or the last two videos, since we're in the YouTube time warp, if you've written into those, you're now reading them and really sitting with that and leaning into the questions that maybe remain in those areas and can use perhaps the writing today to lean into those questions, to get clearer and clearer for that area of your life, okay? So you want to get as detailed as possible, continue to write into that area, and the writings will just kind of build on each other to really pull together that vision for that area of your life. And so much so that you feel yourself in it. You know what it's like. You can feel yourself there already. You know who's around you and what life looks like, what a day in your life looks like in that future. So much so that you're surprised you're not already there. So that's really our intention with this writing practice. I'm going to read a poem today that actually I wrote. And as often, this was from a visioning class that I taught a few months ago. And as I am curating the experience for a class and wanting to create the kind of the energetic, emotional openings to allow people to just pour forth what needs to come. If I can't find through all of the poems out there in the universe, sometimes I'll be called to something that is my own to write on. And this is actually from a plaque that hangs on the wall in my home that just simply says, "What could you do if you knew you would not fail?" And so, excuse me, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? I used that as a jump off line. I just did really kind of a short meditation with myself, really got into that and just spilled forth questions. And so I hope you'll enjoy this poem. I hope that you'll find that it will create a wide opening for you to write into a vision of the particular area of your life that you're working on. Pen to the paper, never leaving the page, write past your critical mind. No corrections, no lipstick on this, just raw, real. And continue to write into that area that you're focusing on right now. If you feel like you've really, through the last two videos, have gotten there and really are clear on that area, move on to the next area that's important to you to really get clarity on. That's what this is about. So, what would you do if you knew you could not fail? Would you jump out of an airplane? Would you unclog your own drain? Would you start a new career? Would you learn to steer? Would you go to Costa Rica to find your soul's purpose? Would you believe it, even if it was to be a sexual priestess? Would you? Would you put yourself out there? Would you keep coloring your hair? Would you help to empower women to lead? Would you ask for what you need? Would you encourage women to not become men in order to succeed? Would you write poetry, paint, or bake bread? Would you leave behind the things that you dread? Would you step out on your own, embarking on a life of your own making? Would you choose it, even if you were shaking? Would you find your tribe? Would you choose to save yourself? Jump off lines. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? Or I would. Just use that. I would. What would you do? The other line in this, I choose. What would you choose in your future? Okay, I'll read it again. 15 minutes, pen to the page, never leaving the page. If you enjoyed this video, do please subscribe, thumbs up the video, and look for the next video in this series, where we'll talk a little bit more about how we want to synchronize all of these writings together into a cohesive and clear vision for our life that we feel resonates with us and is something we want to lean into making a reality. Yeah, I think that's it. I'll read it again. Pen to the page, never leaving the page. Enjoy. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? Would you jump out of a plane? Would you unclog your own drain? Would you start a new career? Would you learn to steer? Would you go to Costa Rica to find your soul's purpose? Would you believe it if it was to be a sexual priestess? Would you? Would you put yourself out there? Would you keep coloring your hair? Would you help to empower women to lead? Would you ask for what you need? Would you encourage women to not become men in order to succeed? Would you write poetry, paint, or bake bread? Would you leave behind the things that you dread? Would you step out on your own, embarking on a life of your own making? Would you choose it even if you were shaking? Would you find your tribe? Would you choose to save yourself? Jump off lines. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? Or I would, or I choose. Feel the power in that statement. Okay. Right into the vision. That is the area that you're working on. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks.